Hey there, welcome to Toy Talk with Mike and Chad, episode 89. I'm Mike,
I'm Chad.
and the toys that we're going to be talking about today are some of my new Masters of the Universe Origins figures. So these are a couple of different series that I have mixed together here. You don't have any new ones to talk about just yet?
Some are the ones I do have are in my pile of loot with Big Bad Toy Store.
Right. So yeah, there is another wave of cartoon collection figures on the horizon that we'll probably have soon. I do have one set of cartoon collection figures to talk about. I won't talk about them a lot because we've already talked about it on this channel when you got them months ago or a year ago. I don't know how long.
A long time ago.
A long time ago. Because I'm pretty much all in on the Origins line, which are the new He-Man figures that are made in the same sort of design as the vintage toys. They're the same scale, but they have increased articulation. And so that line's been going for a few years now. And then like a year or so ago, they added the Filmation, the cartoon collection as a subset. So they're compatible with the figures I've been collecting, but they're based on the looks from the 80s cartoons. So they're redoing all the same characters that I had already just bought. So I wasn't completely sold on buying all the characters over again. But that's when you just jumped on. So you were getting all the cartoon figures. I was being kind of picking and choosing, even though I really liked the look of them. It's hard to leave them behind. But yeah, you've probably got a few that I don't have still, like Web Store, Colossal. You have Triclops, Manny Faces. I don't have any of those guys. So, and every one of them, it hurts a little bit. But I have, not only do I have those guys in the Origins line, most of those guys I have in the Filmation cartoon style in the Classics series of figures from a few years ago. So it's not like I don't have cartoon representations of those characters. I'm just buying basically the same toys I bought a couple years ago, except now they're an inch smaller. And again, it's hard to justify the price. So one of the cartoon collection figures that I was going to skip on was Prince Adam, which is He-Man's alter ego. But he did come in a 2-pack with Cringer, which is Battle Cat's alter ego. So both Prince Adam and his cat Cringer were wimps in the cartoon, but when duty called, he would lift up his power sword, say, "I have the power," turn into He-Man, point his sword at Cringer, and Cringer would turn into the Battle Cat. Now, the vintage toy line had Prince Adam and had He-Man and had Battle Cat, but there was no Cringer. And there was not a Cringer figure until the Classics toy line, which I do have back here. But that Cringer doesn't have any articulation. It's just a solid piece of plastic. So this new cartoon collection one is the first ever articulated Cringer. So I did want it, but I didn't really want to have to pay for the Prince Adam and whatever. But then Big Bad Toy Store had it for 50% off. So I thought, well, that's a pretty good savings. I better get it before it sells out and then I never have a chance to get it again. So I finally pulled the trigger. I ordered it. Although after the shipping and the customs and tariffs and whatever else,
You didn't save much.
I didn't save much. Like, I think I probably still, this set, even though it was $19.99 American, just the conversion alone, that makes it like $30. And then with the shipping and other charges, it probably cost me close to $60 anyway, which is probably what the original retail was. So, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, we talked about it when you got it. But as is the case when you buy stuff, you usually don't open them out of the boxes, at least not when you're with me.
Right.
So usually when we talk about something that you have, I don't get to do an insert shot for people to get a close-up look at it. So I will do that with these figures this time. So yeah, Prince Adam, I think we both agreed this was a nice figure.
Yep, very nice figure.
Yeah, like I have the whole concept of Prince Adam I don't really love. It doesn't really make any sense that nobody can tell this guy's He-Man just because he has a shirt on. But yeah, it looks just like Prince Adam from the cartoon. It does a good job. It also has a secondary head where he's like laughing and smiling, which is kind of like an inside joke from like an internet meme. So it's funny that they included that. But yeah, a good little figure. I'm pretty happy with him. The Cringer,
I'm sad.
I love it, but it broke right out of the box. So here's Cringer with his posable legs, but as soon as I went to move his leg snapped off. So yeah, that sucks.
Did you contact them about that?
I did not.
You should.
I know I maybe should, but I don't know. It's just the shipping to Canada does suck. And if I ask them to send me a new one of these, they might even do it because Big Bad Toy Store is very good with their customer service. But I don't really want to pay any more for shipping or anything like that. They might say we'll send it totally free, but then I just feel too bad about that they're taking that big of a hit on my behalf that they're giving me this figure for free, plus they're paying for the shipping. It's just I feel too dirty about it.
But being devil's advocate, though,
yeah,
regardless of how much it cost when you bought it, you still spent your money to buy one of their products, and you didn't get what you wanted. You got a broken leg, and I know that the quality control is not their problem, but
it's not.
Still,
it's Mattel. And again, I don't know. Maybe I will. Although the longer I wait, the less chance anything is going to be done about it. But it's not their product. That's the thing. If Mattel had sent me this directly, and I wanted to go back to Mattel and say, "Hey, you sent me this thing that broke," fair game. But yeah, I feel Big Bad Toy Store would just have to eat the.
They would eat the cost.
They would eat the cost, and I think they're already kind of struggling right now with the whole tariff situation and everything. So I kind of feel like I'm willing to just kind of suck it up here. I think I could maybe get some crazy glue and glue it in place, which sucks because then he'll never be able to bend his legs. Mm-hmm. One of the nice things about the posable figure is that you could finally pose him squatting and sitting on his butt like you often did in the cartoon, and then you could have him stand up. I won't be able to do that now. Or I might just use a ball of stick tack to kind of hold it in place. That way I can move it as I need to. But honestly, once I'm done shooting this video and taking some pictures for Instagram, he's just going to go on my shelf and sit there anyway. So I'm hoping a ball of stick tack will do the trick. And I don't want to hold it against the figure. I think it's a good figure.
It's a good figure.
The joints are really tight. I'm scared to move any of his legs now, really. Because that peg is too thin. You can tell that joint is just fused in place. The plastic is stuck to the plastic. And I'm well aware that with some figures, you should take a hairdryer or dip it in hot water to try and loosen the joint. That's expected with boutique figures from smaller manufacturers. So if you buy something from an Action Force figure from Valaverse or a Mythic Legions from the Four Horsemen, they often come with a little piece of paper that instructs you to heat it up. But Mattel, being one of the biggest toy companies in the world, you never have to heat up their toys. I've got literally hundreds and hundreds of He-Man figures behind me. I've never had a problem. So the fact that I moved this leg, and I was like, ooh, that's a little stiff. And I was cautious. I was like, I might need to rock this joint a smidge to try and loosen it. It's just the slightest push forward and it just snapped.
That's what happened with my Super Shredder. My sister got me for my birthday. As soon as I took it out of the package, I just took it out of the plastic, had him standing down, and I only went to move his shoulder up, so rotate his arm snapped off. It's
it sucks. But at the same time, I've got a lot of toys. Most of them don't break. As frustrating as this is when it happens, again, it's such is life, I guess.
Write Mattel instead.
Yeah. Again, I don't know.
They're a multi-billion...
Maybe. I'd be more likely to send a letter to Mattel and say, hey, man, can you send me... Even if you can just send me a new leg or something. I don't know. But anyway, it's a cool figure. I wish it wasn't broken, but c'est la vie. The next set I'm going to talk about here is this was a Target exclusive set. And when I saw that they were advertising this, I was like, I really wanted it. And I was like, that sucks that it's a Target exclusive because we don't have Targets in Canada. And with certain Target exclusives like Marvel Legends and stuff, our GameStops in Canada carry all that stuff. But GameStops in Canada do not carry any Masters of the Universe stuff. So these were not going to show up in Canada, basically. So I was like, either I have to go to eBay or my brother Brian lives in Miami. I don't necessarily like tasking him with going to Targets because he's not the kind of guy who's going to go there every week or every day and check for me. But if he happens to be in a Target, he usually knows to kind of call me, and he does a little scan of the toy aisle with his phone. He's like, is there anything here you want? So I did tell him to keep his eyes peeled for these. He did find them, and he was just home visiting like last week, and he brought them for me. So this is a 2-pack of what they call like sketchbook concept figures. So these are characters, well-known He-Man characters. This is Hordak, the leader of the evil Horde, and this is Grizzlor, one of his main henchmen. But these toys are designed after apparently just one of the sketches for these characters when they were first coming up with them back in the 80s. Because with any character, there's multiple iterations, and then they change things and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I think these are awesome. As a big fan of Masters of the Universe, I love getting stuff like this, which is kind of like really deep into the lore. Yeah, and they look so unique compared to their final designs that I could totally put these guys in my display and call them different characters. I think when my brother was giving these to me, it was in front of my mom. And my mom said, now who are these guys? And my brother was like, well, what do you think their names are, Mom? And I think my mom named them Fang and Claw. So I'm like, maybe in my little headcanon, I will say these are just Fang and Claw, and I will put them on my shelf, and they will just be members of the evil Horde. But I love both these designs. I think Hordak looks really cool. But he does look more like what would be a troop builder. Like he could just be a horde.
I can see that.
A horde trooper. So yeah, he's got that weaponized hand, which is Hordak does have.
Yep.
Yeah, he's really cool. And just kind of simple, but cool.
I like him.
And this is Grizzlor, who ended up being more of like an ape man. But here he's more like a woolly mammoth. He's got these big long tusks. And he's got a snout, but his snout is really short, so it's not like a trunk. In the new Godzilla movies, there is a monster called Behemoth. Are you familiar with him? And he's like a big, hairy gorilla type thing with these big, long, curved tusks, but he doesn't have a snout. When I look at this thing, it looks like Behemoth, which is pretty cool because I've long wanted an action figure of Behemoth, but they haven't made any. So,
just a dick nose.
Yeah. So he's got that weird little nose. He's got the same claws as Terror Claw's Skeletor. Now, in the concept art, I don't know if Grizzlor actually had big claws like this too, or maybe he looked like this with the antlers or with the tusks. But then when Mattel was making the figure, they're like, this isn't interesting enough. Let's add the Terror Claws since we already have them just to make them more interesting. I don't really care one way or the other. I think they look cool. I'm glad he has them. One thing I don't love about this figure is he's got the very standard Masters of the Universe kind of crotch piece where it's like a belt and fuzzy shorts.
Yep.
And yet it's most noticeable from the back. But his shorts are the exact same color as the rest of his hairy body. So then it makes me think, well, he doesn't have any pants on. He's just nude like Chewbacca or something, which is weird. Like, Chewbacca being naked, I'm okay with. Other characters that are monsters are naked. But when you're wearing a belt, like, you should have pants.
Yeah.
Like, this guy's obviously conscious of, he's got boots on, he's got shin guards or
hamstring guards.
Thigh armor. Yeah, like, he's got this chest-mounted, like, armor. And you're telling me you got all this armor on to protect your legs and your chest,
and you're
just going to let your dong hang loose. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't color his shorts a different color. Because I think the concept art was just black and white pencil drawings. Yeah. So it's not like that was established. Oh, well, he didn't have any shorts on in the concept art. Just color his goddamn shorts. Like, I wish they had done that. But whatever. Otherwise, I like him quite a lot.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Yeah. And really looks nothing like the
Grizzlor that we know.
Yeah.
And love.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Yeah, that's weird that he has the claws.
Yeah, but I like it. Like I said, you take the claws off
It
of him,
works.
and then he's just got, he's still fine without the claws, but it's fun to give him a bit of a gimmick. Looks a lot more menacing. I wouldn't want to get swiped with one of those things. Now, this next one is a standalone piece. This is a Mattel Creations figure.
Yes.
So every so often, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of rhyme or reason to it. Mattel puts up a new figure that you can only buy exclusively through their Mattel Creations website. I have bought most of them. This one here I was excited for. So this here is another member of the Evil Horde. This is Despara. Now, in the Masters of the Universe lore, dating all the way back to the 80s, it was well known that Hordak kidnapped He-Man's infant sister, She-Ra, and took her away, and then she didn't get to come back to her regular life until like adulthood. Mm-hmm. But they never really expanded on that much in the vintage like She-Ra cartoons. It was just, He-Man didn't know he had a sister and whatever, so it was all a surprise to him when she was introduced a couple of years into the storyline. But in the comic books published by DC, they kind of expanded on that story a little bit. And Hordak kidnapped baby She-Ra, or baby Adora, brainwashed her, and so that she thought she was like his daughter, and she became like a general in his armies. And she wore this mask that looked like Hordak, but underneath, she's got her She-Ra face with this like black eyeliner with the shaved hair on the sides and stuff. I think it actually looks really cool.
Yeah, it does look cool.
So I really liked that concept. And they did a Despara figure in the Classics line, but I did not get her because I think she was like the way they did the membership is you could buy the new figure on Mattel's website every month for like $30 American every month. But they knew that some of their characters were more popular than others. So some months they'd sell out instantly, some months they'd sit around for like a couple of weeks. So to ensure sales, what they would try and do at the start of the year is say, hey, if you pay the full, whatever it works out to be like $400 at the start of the year, which means you're committed to buying all the characters we make, even though they wouldn't tell you in advance what characters they were going to make. So you're risking getting some stupid characters or maybe a different version of a character you already had. But they would entice you by saying, if you pay up front, we'll give you a bonus figure that's not available to anybody else. And I think that's what Despara was when she first came out. And I never committed to buying the full run of figures because, yeah, there was a lot of duds I found, especially in the later years. So I never had a Despara figure until now. I think she's really cool. She's got a couple of swords. She's got this cape. She's got a nice little texture to it. I don't know. And the face is like
badass.
Badass. Yeah, she's pretty. I like the kind of hair. It's kind of punk rock. So, yeah, cool figure.
Cool figure. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yep. So, yeah, pretty cool. I like this one. All right. And lastly, this set here, I was actually really excited about too. There's definitely part of the fan base that does not like when like Mattel tries to throw something new into the mix. They're just like, just give me the toys I had as a kid. I don't want you repainting He-Man into another weird outfit. Just give me the toys I had as a kid. I'm in the middle of that. I like getting all the characters I had as a kid. I don't want them to create so many new ideas that they never get around to giving me some of the key characters. Like the Origins line has been around for years and we still don't have like Too Bad.
Yeah.
And Multibot and Dragstore. There's a couple of key characters that we don't have. So I'll be frustrated if the line ends and we don't get them. But at the same time, I don't want them to only give me the toys that I already had as a kid. When they add new characters, it expands the lore. It keeps me interested in the brand. So they've done a good job of peppering in characters, some brand new creations. Some of them are characters that only ever appeared in the animation but never had a toy before. This set here, they put out this big box set called The Battle for Eternia. And It's got 4 figures inside. You can see there's pictures of them on the back, which I'll put in like a split shot here. But there's 4 main factions in the He-Man storyline. So you've got, the good guys, obviously the heroes. So for that, they have the Paragon Champion, which is a palace guard, except he's like an elite palace guard.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of reused parts in this set, which makes sense. The Masters of the Universe line has always had a lot of reused parts. So you can tell just by looking at them.
Man of Arms.
That's a lot of Man at Arms stuff. But they also made, they made the Palace Guard figures, which are, again, very Man at Arms. A lot of shared pieces, except they're in the green and orange. The fact that this guy's white and gold, it does kind of elevate him. He looks like a bigger deal. Then for the Skeletor's Evil Warriors, they've got this guy called the Skel-Knight, which is just basically a henchman. There's a whole army of these guys. And I think it's a really cool concept. They took basically a figure that looks like it would be Skeletor, except he's got this medieval armor helmet with a Skeletor face like spray painted on the front. So God knows what this guy looks like underneath his helmet. He could be a human, he could be a monster, but he's got a Skeletor helmet, which I think is just a neat concept. And then you've got a guy called the Horde Revenant. Again, this is just an army builder, so you could buy this set a dozen times if you wanted to, and each of these characters are meant to be squads. So this guy, he's got a helmet that's reminiscent of Hordak, which is cool because especially with Despara, she's the general of his army. She's got a helmet that looks like his face. It makes sense that she'd be leading a whole army of Horde Revenants with the head. Again, so they could be humans or monsters or whatever underneath there. I think it's a really cool concept, and I think that's probably my favorite one from the set. This last one I like, but it's a bit weirder. He's called the Pit Warden. It says, the Pit Wardens are feared most among the Snake Men for their unrelenting viciousness and the difficulty of destroying them. For it is said, remove the head of a Pit Warden and 2 more shall take its place. So this is a 2-headed character. But of all these 3, he looks the most unique. Mm-hmm. I find it hard to believe that there would be a whole army of this guy running around. Any of the other 3, I said, we don't know what they look like under their helmets. They could be all different guys. This guy is very specific, and he just does not look like an army builder. Anyway, so I'll show you the figures. Start with this dude. So there's the, what did I call him? Paragon
Champion.
Paragon Champion.
He looks pretty cool.
He's my least favorite. He does look cool. But he has, because he's built on Man-at-Arms' body, he has all the same problems Man-at-Arms has.
Yeah. Shoulders.
The armor is way too bulky, and
the cape.
These Origins figures are way too small. They can't really house all that armor. Like, they're trying to put, hot armor on his upper arm and armor on his lower arm, but they end up bumping together and they end up sliding off because his arms are only this long in the first place. It's he doesn't hold on to his weapon very well. It falls out because it's a big, heavy hammer. The helmet does not come off. It's the same head that came with the standard Palace Guard in green and orange. I think he's entirely made up of Man-at-Arm pieces and Palace Guard pieces. The chest armor, I think that's Randor's, the King's. So that, again, gives him a little bit more of a regal appearance, I guess. Same as Man-at-Arms doesn't have a cape, so that they've added the cape. I don't know where that came from. That might be King Randor's cape as well. It might be Scareglows. But yeah.
He's given off definite Lando Calrissian vibes there.
Oh, when he's in disguise at Jabba's palace.
Yeah, I like him.
I like him. And again,
you can definitely see the flaws in the articulation, though.
Yeah, and again,
their hands never hold anything.
The hammer gets in the way of his armor because his armor, which is supposed to end here, it hangs down over his hand because his arms are not long enough. So the whole thing is a little clunky, and I think I can probably find a pose where he's holding his hammer and I can put him on my shelf and he'll be fine. But yeah, if I was a kid trying to play with this thing, I would be forever annoyed with the stuff constantly falling off and sliding around. Here's the Skel-Knight or Skel-Knight, whatever.
Oh, I like him.
Yeah, he's cool. Now, other than his big green sword, which could be better, it still gives it kind of like a weird
Punisher vibe.
Yeah, it is kind of. It's kind of like a Punisher skull spray painted on his helmet. Um, I'm sure a lot of him is reused parts from Skeletor.
Mm-hmm.
The armor I recognize from Power Lord's Beastman, where it's got these like stalagmites on the shoulders. But yeah, otherwise I don't immediately recognize the parts. I would guess that the head is probably the only new part on him, but it's a cool head. I like how the colors are like reminiscent of Skeletor, but they're not the same as Skeletor. Like Skeletor is blue. This guy is like a light purple, but the armor is purple like Skeletor's, but it's not quite the same purple. And I like how the face paint. It's not just a fully green skull. It looks like it was spray painted on and maybe it's been scraped off by battle and stuff. Like it looks cool. It looks more realistic, like battle worn. Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah, he's super cool.
Yeah, if they package this guy as a solo character, I would maybe even consider buying one or two more just to kind of populate my shelf. Not that I have any extra space on my shelf, but the next guy here, this was the Horde Revenant, I think we called him. He's cool.
Yeah, he's really basic, but I like him.
Yeah, he's another guy. Off the top of my head, I don't immediately recognize that chest armor. That might be new. Otherwise, I think he shares, like his feet are Hordak's.
Mm-hmm.
So his legs and arms, I'm sure those are from somebody else. But yeah, that armor I don't immediately recognize.
Yeah, that's a nice figure.
Yeah, I really like the head. In the Classics line, they did a character called Horde Prime, who had a red Hordak head. So his helmet kind of looks like Horde Prime. Yeah, I really like him. As I said, he's probably my favorite from the whole set here. There's another guy I could see myself buying another one or two of these if they were single carded. Mm-hmm. And lastly, the Pit Warden. So this he's cool. I like him, but he's a bit of a mess. I don't know. What you got any thoughts on him?
I see Too Bad.
Yeah.
And the face sculpt there. I'd be more terrified of this guy's arm than his heads.
Yeah, he's got a very demonic looking snake arm. And then the head, he's got the same head with the kind of saggy looking nose as Viper.
Yeah.
He was in red before. Although the other head, I think, is entirely new. It's cool. I like that other face. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I like that his jaw at least articulates.
Yeah. And on his hand, the head, he's got another snake for a hand, and it's got an articulated jaw.
That's cool.
But like that double head looks very unnatural. Like I think they've used a piece that comes with Modulock. Modulock's the guy that comes into 50 pieces and you break them apart. To use that one double neck on a normal like body, it just looks really unnatural. And I hope they don't use this same structure when they eventually make Too Bad. The original Too Bad figure had a wider torso than the other figures, and both heads just fit on the torso. He didn't have this long extended neck. This will really hurt Too Bad if they make him like this. It is also weird how this guy has like totally different style feet. Like I'm not sure what this guy's deal is because there's no lore about this guy. He's brand new. Too Bad is weird because he had two different style hands and different style feet. But the lore with him was that he was two different characters that through evil magic got like fused together, so it made sense that they would look different. If this guy was just born this way, then like what the hell, man? Like he's a weird dude. I think this arm, the weird like demonic snake arm, I'm pretty sure that comes from the King Hiss from the Turtles of Grayskull line.
Oh, right.
I'm not 100% certain on that, but
I could see that.
I think that's where that comes from. This leg, I think, is unique. It's it looks kind of like a bird leg more than anything. But yeah, he's a weird character, but I like him. I like the colors. I prefer the less snaky side.
Yeah.
That guy looks like a really cool character if they could find a way to kind of make him his own character. But anyway, I'll take him. He's got a sword. He's got a shield. Again, I think we've seen both of those with other characters. That looks like a sword. We've seen a Skeletor. The shield, I'm not sure, but we've definitely seen it somewhere. But a cool figure. I think this set is great. 4 brand new characters. All of them army builders.
All of them pretty cool.
All cool. So, yeah, that's it for my new Masters of the Universe figures.
Those are some sick figures.
Yeah.
I like the art on that box. It's just really nice art.
Yeah, all these Masters of the Universe figures have really cool art on their boxes. But yeah, the fact that this is such a large box and such a large painting. And I love all the teases these boxes have. Mm-hmm. And I often forget to show you guys when I'm doing these videos, because I'll show you a little insert shot of a character's packaging that I've usually thrown out days or weeks before I shot the video. So I forget what was on the card as I'm sitting here doing a live video. And it's only when I'm editing and I put in the shot, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to mention there's that cool new character on the card art. So like this one here, you get the 4 main characters prominently featured, but then there's this like Snake Man, this green Snake Man we've never seen before, kind of creeping up in the background. And then there's this guy, who's this cool skeleton magician. We've never seen him before. And he's pretty prominent on the box. He's got like his own, like you almost expect to find him in the packaging because he's basically as prominently featured as these guys. And oftentimes when they feature characters like this on the artwork, it's an indication that they're planning to release them sometime in the future. So yeah, I don't know who this skeleton magician guy is, but he's cool. And hopefully we see him sometime down the road. But yeah, cool art. I don't know if there's something cool in here. Yeah, I think it's the same. It's the
same thing, but
same artwork inside.
A little storyboard caption at the top.
So yeah, very, very cool set. Good job, Mattel. Not so good a job on that.
Now, I just want to quickly jump in here before we wrap up the video. I'm shooting this little segment about a week, a little more than a week, after me and Chad sat down and discussed all of these other figures. But I got one more Masters of the Universe figure in the mail the other day, so I thought I would tack it on at the end of this video. This is another one of those figures from the cartoon collection that Chad already had. So we previously talked about it in another video when Chad got his version, and I was kind of on the fence whether I was even going to buy this at all. Buzz-Off is one of my favorite heroic Masters of the Universe characters. Growing up, I always preferred the monstrous characters like Merman and Beastman and Skeletor. And a lot of the good guy characters were humans, like He-Man, Man-at-Arms, Ram-Man. So I never really cared about the human characters as much. So the fact that Buzz-Off was this freaky B-Man and he was a good guy, he quickly became my favorite of the good guys. But anyway, so as much as I loved the original figure, and I love the Classics figure and the 2000X figure and the original Origins figures, there's something about this Filmation figure that just I didn't love, and I just didn't know if I needed it. I previously had the Classics figure here, or sorry, the Origins figure here, which is based on the vintage toy, and I love this figure. It looks a lot like the vintage toy, but I would say it's even a little bit better because the vintage toy, these antennas were kind of pressed flat to his head. They didn't stand up like this, so I really like how he's got these little antennas here. So yeah, this guy here, just like my vintage toy, he's got these 2 wings that fold out, and they've got this kind of biomechanical vibe to them there. Very cool. Anyway, so I thought this figure was great. All versions of Buzz-Off have some sort of helmet that goes over his bee face, which I've never really understood, because, you know, what does he need a helmet for? But in the case of this figure, he's got this helmet with these big eyes on it, and it's got the little holes in it so his antennas can fit through those. And then you put it on his head like that, and I think it looks stupid. And every version of Buzz-Off and his helmet has looked stupid. Whether it was the retro toy or the 2000X toy or the Classics toy or whatever. I never display my Buzz-Off with the helmet because I don't like the way that it looks. So that was my main issue with this cartoon collection Buzz-Off is his helmet is permanently affixed to his head, so he doesn't have the antennas because he's got this yellow helmet, but the visor there kind of works like goggles and it folds down over his eyes. So we've never really seen that before. That's the most effective that the goggles have ever been, but I really wish I could pop this helmet off. I really don't like the way this looks. But it is growing on me, and it is true to the cartoon. So, you know, if they're trying to make a toy that looks just like the cartoon, you know, if you were a kid that grew up watching the cartoon and maybe never had the vintage figure, this is probably how you want your Buzz-Off to look. So, yeah, my views have softened on it, and it showed up on Amazon at a decent price. So, unlike Chad, who bought his from Big Bad Toy Store, so he had to pay shipping and customs and all that other stuff, with Amazon, I get the free shipping. It shipped from Canada, so there was no customs charges or anything. So I definitely felt I should grab it while I had the chance. And it is a good figure. It's different than previous versions. His wings, you know, they're flat. They don't have any of that biomechanical thing on them. There's kind of these double wings. So he's got this little 4 wings instead of 2, which is kind of cool. You know, just all the details on his chest. It's all smoothed out like all of the cartoon toys, whereas like this guy's got some texture to his torso and stuff. These guys are supposed to look simple, so it was easy to animate them. Yeah, he comes with this weapon here, which is a big like lance for fencing, I guess. Or not fencing, jousting. Anyway, cool figure. I like it. I'm glad I picked it up. But I think that's all I really have to say about this guy.
But yeah, okay. Well, this is a relatively short episode, which is good because this is the 3rd episode we shot tonight. So yeah, I did all the talking. Why don't you sign us out of here?
Please make sure to like, subscribe, leave us comments. What did you think about Mike's haul there? Should he write a letter to Mattel?
Yeah, or if you work at Mattel, just send me a better Cringer.
On that note, though,
yeah.
Thanks again for watching. Until next time, keep collecting.